Good evening. This is Wednesday, September 17th, 48 days until the 2008 presidential election. McCain campaign manager Rick Davis declared the presidency would be decided on personalities and not the issues. Americans are tonight declaring otherwise. One issue, paramount, the economy. Our fifth story on the countdown. In heavy trading today, the Dow dropped 4% and Senator McCain dropped 7%. The Dow Jones closed down by another 450 points, roughly. The market less than comforted by last night's news of the government bailout of the insurance giant AIG. The Treasury announced today it would be selling bonds for the Fed to assist in its lending efforts. And if that's not enough money, the Fed might have to print more. Against that backdrop, should it be any surprise that nearly half of those voters surveyed by the New York Times and CBS News believe the economy is the most important issue in this election? More voters now having confidence in Senator Obama's ability to handle that economy than they do in Senator McCain's. The fallout of the economic crisis, perhaps most keenly seen, though, in the latest horse race number, Obama now leading by 5. Last week it had been McCain by 2, that margin in both registered and likely voters. And if you've ever wondered what it might look like should a McCain campaign event be open to more than just carefully screened ticket holders, especially if some of those non-ticket holders just happen to be some of those fundamentals of the U.S. economy, the workers. Your chance came this afternoon on the assembly line of the GM plant in Lake Orion, Michigan. At least 5 fundamentals of the U.S. economy were there. They were seen wearing an Obama shirt, an Obama button, Obama sticker, another Obama shirt, another Obama button. Time for Senator McCain to tell those fine fundamentals what they already know they haven't done.
I reject the doom and gloom that says our nation is in decline. America's best days are ahead of us. I want to assure these great employees here, I want to assure them that I have faith and confidence that they're the greatest workers and the backbone and the fundamental of America's economy. It's not your fault.
Okay, thanks. As for how it ended, we resumed the McCain campaign event already in progress.
I thank you very much. Thank you all.
Senator Obama of Obama 08 making the case in Nevada this afternoon that his opponent's attempts at reform need to begin inside his own campaign.
Yesterday, John McCain actually said that if he's president, he'll take on, and I quote, the old boys network in Washington. I'm not making this up. This is somebody who's been in Congress for 26 years, who put 7 of the most powerful Washington lobbyists in charge of his campaign. And now he tells us that he's the one who's going to take on the old boys network. The old boys network. In the McCain campaign, that's called a staff meeting.
Time now to call in our own Richard Wolffe, also, of course, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Richard, good evening. We lost contact with Richard, or can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, there you are.
Me?
Yes, now we've got it together. Some of the other internal numbers in that New York Times poll tonight. White women now for Obama by 2 points, which sounds like a virtual tie, and it is. But last week, it had been McCain by 19. Did the economic crisis just get in the way of the McCain plan to Palin his way to the White House?
Well, I think we've seen a couple of things. First of all, the swing to McCain was exaggerated. That 19-point lead among white women wasn't actually tracked by many other polls. It really came out of one, which was an ABC number. And the movement in not just the CBS poll, but in a bunch of others, has shown the same pattern, which is a gradual shift away from McCain and Palin, a deflation of that bubble. And that's normal because we've seen in other elections that post-convention, these bubbles tend to deflate. Remember that when Ferraro was picked by Mondale, they went up by 14 points before that bubble declined. And then you have other stories encroaching in. And I think there was a tone shift in the coverage, in the tenor of the debate, and the way it was covered in the media, really starting just before the 9/11 anniversary, that forum that both the candidates had. And beyond that, the economy has encroached in a way that I think has just introduced a much more serious debate between the two people at the top of the ticket.
There's another interesting interior number there, voters and enthusiasm, harboring fewer reservations about Senator Obama Reservations about Senator McCain seem to be growing inside this CBS and New York Times poll. There has been criticism throughout Obama not able to close the deal. That went through the primaries, that's gone through the first part of the election. Is there evidence that he's erasing doubts in voters' minds, or are those numbers also reflective of the deflation of a post-convention bounce for the GOP?
Well, remember, this has been part of the Obama strategy. They have come out of the convention period pushing very hard, spending money on hard-hitting ads. You've got the candidate landing zingers every day. This is an aggressive, robust, and sometimes negative push by the Obama campaign. They are trying to raise doubts about McCain, and it's been effective in much the same way that McCain spending money on negative advertising was effective. Remember, the bigger track of the Obama campaign was to spend money early on field operation, on the grassroots effort that doesn't show up in the polls. Now they're putting it into ads and spending heavily. It is moving the needle for them.
Is it their work, or is this to some degree McCain's work in a negative sense, in so much as, especially in the last couple of days, Obama has rolled out parts of an economic crisis resolution plan, and John McCain has basically said, well, I don't need to tell you anything, just trust me, I'm the guy who can do this. Is it more about McCain, or is it more about Obama?
Well, it's a combination, and McCain's blunders, his repetition of the fundamentals being sound, Carly Fiorina's comments yesterday, and I think the coverage, the intensive coverage of Sarah Palin's record, none of these have given the McCain campaign any kind of break. There hasn't really been any positive news after the first few days of Palin's announcement, and the crowd's there. But, you know, there's so much of the Palin story that has been debunked over the last several days that the coverage has been very negative for them. I think, again, that has been an important factor, combined with, obviously, the case that Obama is making.
And lastly, the videotape from the GM plant. Those seem to be the sort of mistakes that a campaign makes when there is a crisis. Is that the sense with the McCain campaign? They put their guy out, and as he's working his way through the crowd, an Obama chant begins?
Yeah, the problem here at this stage, especially going in the last few weeks of the general election, is the unpredictable moment. It'll happen in the debates. It's happening now, especially with a campaign that is so tightly scripted as McCain and Palin have been in recent days. So yes, this kind of moment can crystallize what people are already thinking.
Richard Wolffe of Newsweek and MSNBC, as always, great thanks, and particularly today, happy birthday.
Thank you, Keith.